Whoa, dude. Wow, dude. What do you say, dude? What do you say to that? What do you say to that? Hello, everybody. I'm your friendly Gruppeteer, and welcome back to another Steven Universe vlog. Today's episode is A Single Pale Rose. In this episode, Pearl gets an iPhone, or a smartphone. With it, she can text Steven. But with Steven's dream from last episode, Steven seems to have some questions, some difficult questions, more or less, to ask Pearl. When he confronts Pearl about this, she physically cannot answer him. However, she can talk about it via her phone. Her phone has been lodged deep inside of her subconscious, I guess you could call it, has been lodged deep inside of her gem. So Steven goes inside. He meets multiple layers of Pearl inside of her. It's pretty much her subconscious, I guess. So let's just call it that. Multiple roses in her subconscious until he finally gets to the lowest level, and I'll go over the levels in just a second. He gets to the lowest level, in which he oversees a conversation between who we think to be Rose Quartz and Pearl. Now, the reason I say think to be is because it turns out that Rose Quartz was Pink Diamond the whole time. Now, Pink Diamond, in an effort to become, I guess, not only a leader of the resistance, but in order to be accepted, and at least in order to be able to live on Earth, needed to fake her own death, more or less, by being executed by Pearl, who shapeshifted into Rose Quartz, and then executed Pink Diamond in front of everyone, took Pink Diamond's actual physical diamond, and left a fox, sort of shattered diamond, and then, assumingly took Rose's diamond, or rather Pink Diamond's diamond, took it back to Earth, and let her live the rest of her life out as Rose Quartz. And none of us knew this, keep in mind, not even Amethyst and Garnet. That is pretty good, dude. That's pretty good. In 11 minutes or so, Steven Universe made what might be potentially one of the best episodes they've ever made, and I'm terribly impressed. And to be completely honest, I am very, very, very pleased with this episode. So often, episodes of Steven Universe like this just attempt to be. I always hesitate to use the word filler. So attempt to be too much drama, too little time. They compress things so they don't make sense, or they just leave you with a needless cliffhanger. I would understand the argument that you could say that this episode ends on a needless cliffhanger. However, I feel that just the quality and quantity of what we do see in this episode is enough to excuse it. And I understand if that's not something that you can agree with. However, it's my opinion. I do feel that it is excusable with just how much is packed into this episode. So, going level by level, like I said, the first level of Pearl's subconscious, is this nice organization sort of oriented Pearl, who's organizing all the things that she keeps inside of her gem, alphabetically. It's a pretty basic thing. It's pretty much just a Pearl inside of a Pearl. Steven goes a level deeper and finds a crying Pearl at in the past. I think the timeline that we've established in past episodes about Greg meeting Rose, like We Need to Talk, or episodes like that. That being Pearl in her then outfit, crying because she's sad that Rose is going to leave. That Rose is leaving, unfortunately. A level deeper brings us to the Strawberry Fields, where that giant battle occurred. There's probably an actual name for it. Sorry, guys. A level deeper than that brings us to presumably Homeworld or somewhere like that, where we see the assassination of Pink Diamond, at least, or at least her release from the chains of Pink Diamond and her embrace of the Rose Quartz persona, much like Tupac did. Much like he faked his own death and is now living out his life as Juan Ignacio Fernandez down in Cuba. But that's a subject for another episode of Steven Universe, which is coming this summer. So, to unpack everything this episode gives would pretty much just be a useless vlog. You could watch the episode and it would give you 10 times more of the effect. It would be 10 times better than anything I could describe. And I urge you, and I don't think I've really ever said this in an episode of the vlogs before, but I really do urge you, the only way to truly grasp the complexities, the intricacies, just how incredible I feel this episode is to watch it. I mean, you can, find it now. I think Cartoon Network even accidentally leaked it a few days early on their new animation podcast, which they didn't invite me to do. Whatever, I'll just do my own animator-oriented show. No big deal. I've got guests. What's up, dude? What's up? You looking at me? So I do want to hesitate. I do want to shy away from making this vlog just talking about what happens in this episode. Let me go inch by inch, do every single frame I can do. Because, one, those channels annoy me, and two, it's just not the same as experiencing this episode. I would definitely urge you to watch this episode, because I really do think that it's spectacular. I think that perhaps what it does best, besides obviously the big twist at the end, I think what it does best is unpack Pearl, not in this way that we go through memories of Pearl that we already know, because we already know the Strawberry Fields fight. We already know Rose being sad that Steven's being born, yada yada yada. We already know that. I like that they unpack the episode with having these past memories of Pearl being able to interact with Steven. This isn't like Charles Dickens with Scrooge, The Christmas Carol, where he views these as these past things as phantoms, as things that cannot be changed. Keep in mind that these are all memories that Pearl is playing inside of her head, and thus they aren't memories. They're much more landscapes that she will forever have this moving photograph of. And in doing so, Pearl can talk to Steven in the attitudes, in the environments, in the moods that she was in when these events happened. I really enjoy this as a storytelling sort of device. And excuse me if there's some movie or whatever that I haven't seen that's done this better, but I personally believe that this is a really interesting and personally a fresh and exciting, a fresh and just enjoyably new take on the whole going through somebody's past memories. Like I said with Charles Dickens or, I don't know, other things where they watch someone's past, I guess. Whatever. What I'm trying to get at is I like the idea of talking to somebody who is completely encapsulated in this moment of time, yet knows what you know. They cannot break themselves of what is happening in this moment in their memory, yet somehow they are aware of everything leading up to the point of you speaking to them. They themselves are just stuck in this moment. That's a very interesting storytelling device that I don't think I've ever seen before, and I find it really interesting. Honestly, it's a really simple idea if you think about it, but it's ingenious how they I don't know, I like it a lot, it's good. And of course, the big thing about this episode is the reveal at the end. Whoa, Grumpeteer, what do you think of Pink Diamond? What do you think of Rose Quartz? You've been doing this, for how many years now? What a twist. Yeah, it was definitely, giant. It was definitely huge. I'd say that this might be perhaps the biggest reveal they've ever done on the show. if you can even count Ruby and Sapphire. But even now, that seems so old, so sort of ingrained into our memories that this new event, this new twist is just fresh to me. It's just interesting. It's exciting, and it excites me to keep watching the show. And this isn't going to turn into a commercial for the show by any means, unless Rebecca Sugar wants to come on Cartoons vs. Cancer sometime. But it's more of me just saying that it really sparks my interest in seeing what's going to happen next. I don't think there's ever been really an episode of the show where I've been completely engrossed in what's happening next. When I was upset when I saw the commercial that said, coming this summer, you know what this summer means? It means September. Oh, why do you schedule your programming like this? Are you just holding us out till Comic-Con, Cartoon Network, you sly devils? No, but I'm hair in my mouth. But I'm legitimately excited. I'm legitimately intrigued. I'm legitimately curious as to what is to happen the next time we see these characters. Especially the end of this episode showing that Amethyst and Garnet didn't know. If you see that, I'm not going to get into the previews for the next episode, but it's definitely something that is going to change the sort of face of Steven Universe as we know it. Now, there's been a lot of talk going around with the aforementioned, what do you call it, podcast, the animation podcast, that Steven Universe is drawing to a close. The series is winding itself down. This is nothing that's been confirmed by Cartoon Network or Rebecca Sugar or, Ian or anybody like that. But there's been a lot of speculation that the show is closing to an end. It's getting to its series finale, and I think that somebody told me the world was going to own me, and also that there was a accidental leak of the series finale on the animation podcast. Now, I'm hesitant to watch this and see if it is just what I saw in this episode, or if it is something that I have not seen and would legitimately spoil the series finale. Maybe they were just British and they were saying series as if this was the season finale. But if this is something that is Steven Universe is winding down with good reason. Most of the people who work on the show have gone on to create other works. The show's about 7-8 years old now. It's kind of reaching the peak of sort of its storyline. I understand that. But if this is sort of the beginning of the end, I couldn't think of a better way to get viewers involved. This is definitely something that has been planned for a long time. And in all honesty, if you probably went back, and I'll probably get sent some, 12-page Tumblr posts in just a few minutes about, all the clues that I missed all this time. But yeah, I bet if you went back, this is something that Rebecca's probably been planning for a long time. And I do love just how long they waited, just how long they kept us watching, and just how well they grabbed my attention until the next time. So, personally, this might be one of my favorite episodes of the show that I've seen, and that is saying something with just, Christ, the amount of episodes and the amount of vlogs I've made. I love this episode. It's amazing. Crooniverse, you did a great job. Go get some good night's sleep. I will see you guys come summer for more episodes of Cartoons vs. Cancer, hopefully, and even more hopefully, more episodes of Steven Universe. But until then, have a nice summer. I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.